Identity crises coming at you. Identity crises will be the death of you. Identity crises. This is what character assassination looks like when you do it yourself. Something's going. Shut it off, man. Shut it off, man. How you doing, everybody? Welcome to the program. America in an identity crisis. Am I exaggerating it? I don't know, but I'm stuck in my guitar right now. Welcome to the program, everybody. Mark Sconti reporting. Right here in America. Today is May 9 in the year 2023. And I got to tell you, it's cold outside. It's cold. It's 52 degrees here in Northeast Pennsylvania in May. In the second week in May, it should already be like, going to sleep in the 60s and 70s at night. But it's kind of cold here. What do I want to say today? I think that the mental health breakdown in America was somewhat predictable. I think you're seeing it overboil. It's at the boiling point right now. You have people stuck in what I see as an identity crisis, kind of don't know who they are. They don't know what American is. They don't know what gender they are. Everything is up in the air. And to challenge anybody's belief about themselves is to start a fight. And I just picked up a pair of glasses yesterday, and I picked up a new set of glasses just for walking around, not for the web, for staring at a screen. And I was talking to the eye guy, the guy who was bending my glasses so that they would fit and not fall off my face. And I could see how we were talking about the transmission of germs, because he tried to shake my hand, and I just gave him a little elbow pump, saying, I'm not taking on any new germs today. Right? And I told him, I hadn't been to doctors in years. And I show up and I go for a doctor's appointment, and within a day or two, I feel a little upper chest congestion, like a cold coming on. It went away, but I could see it coming on, right? After years. Now, if you think that that's a coincidence, that after years and years and years of not being near doctors and being in ideal condition, no colds, no flus, no illness, no nothing, actually feeling better, right? And then suddenly I go into a doctor's office and I come out of there with a scratchy throat and congestion. You're telling me that's a coincidence? You're telling me that that's a coincidence? I don't think so, right? Because you're surrounded by germs. You're in the doctor's office where people are sick all the time. But anyway, but the eye doctor, I could see how that was coming. It's an identity. He sees himself as the master scientist. He wanted to tell me about how it wasn't a doctor. It was just a guy who bends glasses. How he was wearing his mask up until like a few days ago. And he was doing it for you and me. He wasn't doing it for himself. He was wearing the mask to protect you from him, he said. So these are forms of kookiness and craziness, and the inability to see this medical castration and genital mutilation of children as simply not a problem. I mean, I find that shocking. I find that bizarre that people don't see it that way. They see it as some sort of freedom for the child to choose their gender at, 7 years old or 10 years old or 12 years old and mutilate themselves. to become the other sex. I just find that, really insane. Does a young kid really know, or does it matter in his life at that moment? I don't think so. I think that kind of judgment after you're 18 years old, if you want to chop off your gonads or castrate yourself through chemical induction or whatever, however they do it, go ahead at 18. But as a kid, it does seem that that's a little overboard. So these types of issues and why we'll look at the Texas shooter. When you look at his profile, you see incel, which is a term, an online term for men who see themselves as unsexually desirable to the other sex. And so they are okay with not having sex because no woman wants them. That's the rationale. Or neo-Nazism, worshiping the German rise of the Nazi, the white supremacist genetic cleansers. But in the case of the Texas shooter, he was Hispanic. He was an incel Hispanic, and why? So there's a lot of confusion in terms of what people are, what people think they are, and I don't know. If you're watching this program, I'm exactly who I tell you I am on a daily basis, and I believe the people watching this are mostly on the same page too. So good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday, and I have to cancel the Tuesday Dharma for tonight. No show tonight. I have something to do, and I have places to be and things to do. And as I always said, I'm a morning person. I don't necessarily like doing shows at night. I have other things on my mind when the night rolls around, like relaxation and quiet. Or public gatherings where I can observe rather than have to talk. But anyway, so no Dharma gathering tonight. Welcome everybody in the chat. Vinny DiMartini in the house. Champs is here. Weevil Girl. Give a hand for our wrenches. Thank you. That's not an easy gig. Josephine is here. Josephine, welcome. Me So Hungry. Justin Falzone in the house. Johnny Half, how you doing? William R. Hall in the house. Clayton Borghese. And everybody, Sidento, what's up, Sidento? And William Smith as well, and anybody else who's lurking. I appreciate you being here. And we'll try to find a way to. I'll talk about that another time. But and we'll also break to the markets. If we have time, I have this Tim Pool video. Tim Pool interviewing Vivek Ramaswamy. I think people in this chat said, hey, Tim Pool and Vivek Ramaswamy, they seem like the same guy. So one is interviewing the other. If we have some time, we'll take a look at that. This is my thumbnail today. So the killer, the guy who, the belligerent human being, confused, sick human being that went into a mall and shot up 8 people and killed 8, wounded another 9, however many people he killed down there in the Texas mall. This is ongoing in America. There's some sort of glory in shooting people, innocent people. And this is what the body looks like. He's a Texan. He's a SS worshiper. He's got a swastika on his left breast. Ideology, right? He believes in Texas. He believes in neo-Nazism. That's all he's got on his body. I'm not sure if this is. It's the media is running this image of Garcia. His name is. So we'll assume that this is what his body looks like. They got the dead body, so I think it's pretty much confirmed that he had these kind of markings on his body. And so that's my thumbnail. Marcus Conti, I'm a video photographer. excuse me, philosopher. And every morning at 9 a.m., I come on live and I do this thing, whether I like it or not. And whether you like it or not, or anybody likes it or not, it's just one person with immense experience in photojournalism and video journalism, giving you his impression on just about everything. So that's what I do every morning at 9 a.m. right here on YouTube, and most of the time Tuesdays 7 p.m. Dharma gathering. As I said earlier, I'm going to not this evening, but next week we'll try to pick that up again. And we're watching live. You're watching live on YouTube. If we're ever lost, just come here to marcusconti.com and you'll know where we are. So thank you. So start here. The royal family and the coronation of King Charles was rather interesting, but they're questioning why did Harry, right? Why did Harry, who is who came to America and married the fucking Markle, whatever her name is, the lovely racist Markle. And why did he even show up? He was only in England for 24 hours. He touched down. He didn't talk to anybody, and then he left without really engaging anybody. He went back to his son's birthday party in L.A. where he lives, and but he's still the son of the king. Right? He can't escape that. He is the son of the king of England, and. That's daddy, and that's his. That's not mom. Mom was Diane, Princess Diana, who died in a car crash. That was his wife, and this is his second wife. But why did Harry even show up? Right? This is a perplexing question, because you can be born into seemingly everything. Like Harry was. Harry was born royal. He's royal. He'll never be the king unless his brother dies. His brother would have to die for Harry to be king. I don't even think his brother can die at this point. Harry, it would override Harry. If William, Harry's brother, dies, if William dies before he's king, then William's son would become king, not Harry. So Harry's out of the equation. Harry will never be king, and he moved to L.A. to rock some half black chick. It's fucking crazy. But why would you walk away from the monarch? Why would you walk away from some kind of situation like that where you're royal? I don't know. It's interesting. But let's get into identity crises. Tulsi Gabbard, definitely speaking truth, a lot of it, calling transphobia, or not transphobia, but being trans as a mental problem. You got mental issues, especially when you're a kid. Let's listen to Tulsi Gabbard spell it out.
Tulsi Gabbard, she's a former presidential candidate. She joins us now. Tulsi, this Washington Post poll that I referenced at the beginning of the show is pretty interesting because it shows the American people are with the case of sanity. It shows that to the tune of 57% Americans believe a person's gender is determined at birth. 60% plus do not believe that transgender individuals should be in women's sports. And this one stood out to me. 77% do not think we should be teaching gender ID in K through 3 school. That's, of course, that Florida bill that was so controversial. What are your thoughts?
So those are the statistics on what Americans think of transgender and all this nonsense. Let's hear Tulsi Gabbard give her opinion on it.
Well, Kaylee, this should give us some hope to see that there is still some sense of common sense and sanity in our society, because this is the real question that we, the American people, are being faced with. We have leaders in the Democratic Party, unfortunately, and those in our society who are pushing this fantasy. They are asking us to take something that is clearly not real and believe that it's real. They're asking. She's
calling trans people a fantasy, something that is not real, being presented as real. Is that the case? Is transgender a fantasy of people stuck in this fantasy? Is it real? I think it is a fantasy. I think she's right about that.
Asking us to take something that is very clearly a mental illness.
A mental illness.
That creates this delusion where you have people saying, well, I'm a man in a woman's body and vice versa.
Right.
And then doctors committing, in the case of children especially, this medical malpractice.
Medical malpractice. Wow. Tulsi Gabbard calling it what it is. She's rattling it off.
And then doctors committing, in the case of children especially, this medical malpractice, trying to turn this fantasy into reality and creating incredibly negative short and long-term consequences, both physically and psychologically. And so that's really the question that we, the American people, have to ask ourselves and to answer is, are we going to live in a society of common sense and reality, or are we going to buy into this insanity and this fantasy? Are we going to allow, and this is one of the reasons I left the Democratic Party, is because we have the Democratic Party of today selling this fantasy and catering to it and giving credibility to this fantasy, these mental delusions, all because...
The fantasies and mental delusions, Tulsi Gabbard says, about the transgender community wanting to switch genders. It's fantasy. It's delusion. It's mental malpractice. It's medical malpractice as well.
Because they think it'll give them more political power. A party that is willing to do anything, especially things that are damaging to children, all for the sake of political power, should be frightening to everybody.
And that's what astounds me about this, Tulsi. I mean, look, this isn't left or right. This is common sense. These are kids. These are children. This is sterilization. But the degree to which it's not just Democrats, but the media covers for this, because those polling numbers I cited to you, that poll was commissioned in March. It was not until May that we get a headline from the Washington Post citing the data that, in fact, the American people are on the side of common sense. Why is the media buying?
Josephine says trans people have an option now to medically change themselves. I think it is sad, but adults can do it, and I guess they should have that freedom. I couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't agree with that more, Josephine. I think that adults, you could do whatever the hell you want. Do whatever you want. If you're 18 years old, if you're 19 years old, if you're 25 years old, if you're 57 years old, and you want to mutilate yourself and cut your shit off, go right ahead. You will find a doctor to do that for you, and you should be allowed. That's a free choice on you. Where the freedoms of others are violated is when you're doing it to kids who don't, anyone under the age of 18 doesn't have the mental capacity to make, in my view, make a decision like that. Right? If you're not going to protect kids, don't protect them at all. Right? This is something you protect kids from, and certainly you'll always find doctors that are willing to engage in this fantasy and medical malpractice. So if you're willing, but again, we're talking about something different here. We're talking about the promotion of this idea that gender is a spectrum and selling it to kids and then saying, yeah, it is a gender. It is a spectrum. I do feel female and I'm trapped in a man's body. Right? That's what we're talking about. We're talking about, and I never thought I would say this, but, protecting the kids. In this case, I think it's valid. In terms of listening to music with profanity in it, I think that's ridiculous. To protect kids, you can't listen to this song because it has the bad words in it or bad messaging. But we're talking about something else: the promotion of this transgender life to children, and I think that's where you have to draw the line.
Into this too.
This is yet another example, Kaylee, of the collusion between the permanent Washington Democrats, the mainstream media. We see it in big tech and social media, people being banned from different accounts because of, quote unquote, misgendering someone, and frankly, just not going along with the insanity. And that's where it's critical for us.
William Smith doubles down on that, says, no, they don't have an option to change their sex. Impossible. I agree with that as well. you don't have an option to change your sex. You have an option to behave a different way. But by physically mutilating yourself, chopping off your penis, for example, and installing a vagina, right, does nothing for your sexuality. All it does is it makes you, it advances your freakism. It's like a tattoo or an ear piercing or that psychopath guy that, you know, chopped off, people that chop off their nose and slice their tongue down the middle and have giant holes in their ears. And right, it's in the same category. You never transform from one sex to the other. I agree. Right? That's a fantasy. I want to be a woman because maybe I can't get women or whatever the reason is. Right? So,
for us, even as we see how pervasive this has become, for we, the American people, to have the courage to stand up and say, no, we live in the real world. We have common sense. We care about our children, and we will stop those who are trying to abuse them from being able to do so. This is a very real battle that each and every one of us has a role in fighting to protect our kids and to protect our future.
Amen to that. Tulsi Gabbard, thank you.
Hey, everyone.
Yeah, man. Wow. So thank you, Tulsi Gabbard. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Also, in freak news, here's a gentleman he's very, very upset. And they had a rally, a protest down there in New York City. And he was just, he was pissed off that the homeless man on the train got choked. And killed because he was the homeless psychopath was attacking other people, and an ex-Marine held him in a chokehold and killed him. Now, did the ex-Marine go a little too far in restraining the psychopath? Probably, but why does that merit? Now it's racist, right? It's a racial attack, and they're up in arms, and it's just in my view, this is just a reason to protest, a reason to get angry down there in New York. Oh, I'm sorry, Black Lives Matter, says the elderly white woman, not elderly, but past her prime white woman. Eric Adams' blood is on your hands. Resign. Right. So they're calling the black murder, right? Boycott black murder. How about boycott murder altogether? Right? Some photographer, she got arrested because she wouldn't get out of the way of the police. And I could tell you through experience. This is what happens when you're reporting on something like this. You just happen to be there in New York City, and the shit is happening. It's going down right in front of you, and people are getting arrested, and the police are pushing people and knocking people down. What you do is, if you accidentally get caught, if you're videoing it or shooting it, and you accidentally get caught and grabbed by the police, you show them your press pass and say, "I'm press," right? And generally, the first time they will let you go. They will push you out of the crowd and say, "Get out of here." Right? That's the first time. This woman, 3 times they had to kick her out of the according to the report. It took the police they told her, "Get out of here," 3 times, and she didn't get out, and so they arrested her. So I don't feel sorry for the reporter. Get out of the way, man. Don't condemn. The police know what they're doing. They grab you, they see press, they're like, "Get out of the way." That's what they do. They physically push you out of the way. It's happened to me twice, and they just leave you alone. That's why always have your press pass on and just scream it when they grab you. Just scream, "Press, press, press, camera, press pass. Thank you. Let me out," and they let you out. But anyway, so that's ridiculous over there. So let's talk about this guy. Mauricio Garcia. Mauricio Garcia is a white supremacist. But how can a white supremacist be Hispanic? He has a Hispanic name. Texas mall shooter Mauricio Garcia planned attack for weeks, timing rampage for maximum carnage. I'm most interested in the photographs here. So here he is. Here's his chest, right? Texas Mall gunman appears to be casing his targets for weeks, okay? He's 33 years old. He killed 8 people. It took place around 3:30 p.m. on Saturday. He also, on social media, so here he is clear with Texas and the swastika and the SS shit, indicating that he may just well be a Nazi. Are we scrambling? Are we scrambling? Are we scrambling? I think we're buffering. I'm getting red. I'm getting red. I'm sorry if we buffer. Just hang in there. Hang in there. And yeah. So protesters using amplified sound. No, I'm reading the wrong article. So here he is. Is he white? Is he Hispanic? Is he black? He's got a hot chick on his arm. I thought he was an incel. Heavy meowtle. Heavy meowtle. What's on his hand here? He's got some kind of tattoo on his hand with a flower in the middle. It's got three lines, 3 black lines. So his YouTube page featured a smiley face with a Hitler mustache. Whoop-de-doo. Gunman account railed against diversity, despite the fact that Garcia addressed his own Hispanic heritage. So confirmed. Right, he's definitely involved in neo-Nazism, the belief of this thing, this movement. He's clearly self-diagnosed as Hispanic. But why is he? How does that make him a white supremacist? Here's all his guns. Here's his ammo, his banana clip. I don't know what I'm trying to get at over here, but I think that. You could see the incredible confusion. Is this guy really about white supremacy and neo-Nazism? And where's the line where it says incel? Because that's important too. He had this patch on his chest that said RWDS, which is Right Wing Death Squad. So he might see himself also as right wing. So right wing, neo-Nazi, Hispanic, incel. All right. What a fucking horrible thing. The shooter was an internal email being disseminated within Texas law enforcement has revealed the police believe the shooter was an incel or involuntarily celibate. Involuntarily celibate, meaning that you can't get any. Is that what it means? Let's read. Incel, a member of an online community of young men who consider themselves unable to attract women sexually, typically associated with views that are hostile towards women and men who are sexually active. Self-identified incels have used the internet to find anonymous support. So the term incel is a voluntary guy, a guy who sees himself as unacceptable to women. And that's pretty funny because I don't think this guy, there's some woman in the world that would see this guy as attractive, right? Certainly with all the swastikas and ornaments on his body. Some woman, well, maybe the one standing next to him, even if he paid for it, saw him as worthy. So the idea that all women don't like you is a mental defect. It's a mental problem. Even very, very unattractive women somehow attract some man. There's always somebody for somebody else, right? There's never a lonely bird in the human species. So there he is, dead on the floor. Neo-Nazi, incel, white supremacist who isn't white. Why did these people kill? Does it really have anything to do with those identities? No, it doesn't. It doesn't at all, obviously. This is a guy who sees himself as, I don't know, white supremacist or not black, but he's as white as the white girl standing next to him. I guess she's white. Do you see the problem here? We have a deep, deep, deep identity problem in America that results in murdering people. Right? It's an identity crisis. That's why I like Vivek Ramaswamy. He's attacking the American problem from that perspective, the perspective of identity crisis. I'm not going to speak for myself because I know who I am. I know what I am, what I like, what I don't like. And I think there's plenty of people in the world that are like that, in America like that. But the vast majority of people have no idea who they are, what they stand for. They want to stand for something, and they end up out on the street, defending black people, and using an example of some homeless guy who choked and or was causing big problems on the subway. That's a scary thing. I could tell you right away, when you're on a subway car and the car is moving and the doors are locked, at least till the next, you can't get off. You can't get out of the train. If you're on the subway and you're in the tunnel, right? The doors close and you go to the next stop. You can't get off the train until that next stop. And if somebody goes off in that subway, you're like the captain of a fucking, of an airline, right? If someone attacks you, there's no police to call. There's no escape. Everything is locked and you got to wait till the door opens. So that's a scary situation when someone goes off in a locked train like that, right? You got to do what you got to do to refrain the guy. Right? But anyway, so Mauricio Garcia looks like he was a law-abiding citizen. He purchased his guns legally. Here he is, another one. It seems like he's around. He seems to be around a lot of hookers. Here he is at a Hooters somewhere in Texas, maybe. All men. I've never been to a Hooters. I guess it's just it's food with women and big tits. Right? Some people like that shit. That's not Hooters. So there's the Hooters shot. What's the other one where he's with another hooker? A hooker? Is this a hooker? Where's the hooker? Is he a hooker guy? So what's wrong with that? Right? Is this the same? No, different garb. So we know what he likes. He likes women. That's Hooters. Is that Hooters as well? I don't know. But MO of people. So anyway, I don't know what to make of any of this. But be kind to yourself. Let's look at the and watch out. Watch out for yourself too. So the markets are open. Nasdaq is up 67. All down. I'm stumbling today. Bear with me. S&P 500 is down 19. Dow Jones Industrial Average down 72, and the Nasdaq is down 68. And it looks like a red day right now. I don't know what the news is. 5 signals. White House debt ceiling talks. Well, the debt ceiling will go up, whether you like it or not, because it has to. As inflation and the value of money gets less, there'll be more money. And that debt ceiling, hypothetically or theoretically, at $30 trillion is going to go to $50 trillion and $100 trillion and $1 million trillion. Right? It's an endless debt until the United States goes to war, until it removes all that debt from its debtors like China and whoever else, and Japan and Saudi Arabia. That debt ceiling is going to continue to climb, and you bet your ass if the dollar gets taken off the table as the global currency, you will have a war. And that's how the United States will take care of that problem of debt. You deal in dollars or we'll blow you up, literally. So mixed market today, mostly down. Apple is down 45 cents. Amazon down 38 cents. Google up $1.53. Meta down $1. Rivian down 70 cents. Tesla down 2. All right, so you got a lot of red right now. It's the big down. Nvidia down $4.40. So tech taking a little hit right now, but it does look like it's holding up there. Let's look. Let's look at the facts. Everything is revealed in chart. Everything is revealed in price. So we are, whoa, so we got a bit of a dip right there. A little hippy dippy this morning. You can see where we're coming down here. Is it gonna, it's back down to the, so it's building, it seems like it's building a range right here. All right, the range of the NASDAQ appears to be 12,261 and 12,186. So we got a little bit of a trading range here. I highly doubt that it breaks below the 200-day moving average to green. I think we go higher from here. I think we definitely go higher. This is a 6-month. So you can see the 6-month is ready to break out. Right? So anyway, man. So thank you all for joining me. And oh yeah, let's watch a little Tim Pool.
Cast IRL before.
It was fun.
And before I had you on the show, I was saying Vivek, and everybody says Vivek because it's just, I don't know, anglicized or whatever. But
I would also say that's very fair because it is spelled Vivek. So that is a pretty phonetic pronunciation, but the way it's pronounced is Vivek. Like,
there we go. I think we set the record straight for everybody who's been following
thank
along.
you.
But you're running for president, huh?
Yeah. It's been about all of 6 weeks now. It's been going
6
pretty well.
weeks.
Yeah, 5 weeks maybe, 6 weeks.
I got 1,000,001 questions, but let's just jump into it. Republican? Why? What's going on?
Yeah, Republican, and why Republican or why president or all of it?
All of it.
I mean, look, so politics is not my world. I'm not a politician. I was in the world of,
These guys are mirror images of each other. It's like a match made in heaven. Man.
Talk about, I was in the world of business and biotech. Ended up transitioning from that to writing books about our culture. Still didn't think that partisan politics was where it was at for me. But my basic reason for being in this is I think we're in the middle of this national identity crisis.
Yeah.
We're lost.
I have a more extreme way of describing it, I suppose. But, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
the national identity crisis, right?
I'm just trying to keep it positive here.
Right.
But I think the truth of it is, I mean, say it how you will, harshly, not harshly, we're lost. We're a people lost in the desert. We're both 37.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes,
when's
when's
your birthday?
August 9th.
Oh, March 9th.
Okay. Hey, got the 9 thing going. All right.
Yeah.
So I guess that makes it's like
bit
early in
older.
the morning. Gotta just think about this. Okay. So that makes us like
37 years old. That's the age to be right now.
6 months apart or something
like that.
Yeah. 6 months. So
Yeah,
5 months.
look at that.
Something like that.
Wow.
6 months. So whatever.
Tim Pool has a guitar in the background. I see that.
We're lost.
I have a more extreme way of describing it.
There's the what kind of guitar is Tim Pool hanging in the background? It looks like a Fender. Looks like a Fender Telecaster.
I suppose, but, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to keep it positive here.
Right.
But I think the truth of it is, I mean, say it how you will, harshly, not harshly, we're lost. We're a people lost in the desert. We're both 37.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes,
when's your birthday? Freedoms, liberties. I would simplify it all the way down to the rights of the individual as it comes together to form the greater community. So I view being American as a variety of things. Mm-hmm. That's the simple ideological view. And then the more subjective view, I suppose, is a connection with our history, of course, belief in the vision of the founding fathers and the progress that has been made over the past several hundred years to do away with awful things like racism, attaining amazing things like civil rights. The being American is to strive for people, it's life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, as our founding fathers envisioned, and the pursuit of improving upon that system, doing away with the bad and building upon the good. Then you can get into the granular and say, a core tenet of this country has always been individuality, meritocracy, personal responsibility. That you know, I'll leave it there. Otherwise, I'm going to go on for an hour.
Well, I mean, we could go on for days about it, but so just pick up off 2 strands of what you said there. Okay.
Peace, everybody. I'll see you guys. I'll see you tomorrow.
American identity is a complicated thing. One of the things that you said in the first part of that answer is the individual, but tying it into a whole that's greater than some of its parts.
That's the biggest thing for me.
And that's the conflict. It's not a conflict, but that's the tension at the heart of the American identity that causes us to struggle with this, because there's part of each of us that wants to be the individualist, the rugged individual pursuing our version of the American dream, best manifest through free market capitalism. And you know what? Republicans and conservatives like to lean into that. Like, that's the part, the rugged individual. That's me. And I've lived that dream. I mean, that's important to me. It's important to you. It's a big part of what it means to be American. But we don't admit often what the other side embraces. They reject the rugged individual and say there's this collective